Hello and welcome to Delapre, the Happy Abbey, a series of conversations with local people about Delapré Abbey and how it links to the wellbeing of the community. My name's Laura Graham. I'm a Northampton-based freelance writer and community activist, and in this episode I talked to Dr. David Smart, who is a recently retired GP. Having served in one of Northampton's busiest surgeries for 30 years, you could say that David is a bit of an expert when it comes to wellbeing. He's always been ahead of the curve and has been championing the link between mental and physical health for years. You'd think that now he's retired, David would be slowing down his work in the field, but that isn't the case. He's the chair of Action for Happiness in Northamptonshire and a trustee of Delapré Abbey Preservation Trust. We recorded this episode walking around the beautiful grounds of Delapre and talked about mindfulness, cycling, how to develop new habits, and how we can all have achievable health goals. So, hello David.
Hello Laura. And hello everyone else.
Yeah, we are sat outside the beautiful Delapré Abbey on one of the lovely benches, just having a little relax, aren't we, for a moment?
Little natter. Little natter. Before we're going to need to move soon, aren't we?
I know.
It's chilly.
I know. Yeah, it's not the warmest, but it's quite busy, so you can probably hear people sort of sat around having a chat, and it's really nice to see you. It's been a while.
Thank you. Thank you. Nice to see you.
Yeah.
And actually see somebody in the flesh rather than on Zoom. Yeah.
We are nice and socially distanced, so we're keeping this recording all COVID safe. But yeah, we're here today to talk about wellbeing and really how that links with, sites like Delapre and all of the great stuff that you're involved with in terms of our wellbeing. So,
sure.
I mean, it would be great to just start with sort of setting the scene of how you think somewhere like Delapre, how does that impact the wellbeing of the community?
I mean, Delapre is it's so much. Where do you start? I think, the grounds are just beautiful, and we know that just 5 minutes of walking amongst trees is good for your well-being. There's good evidence based on that. But also it's grounded in history, and I think that history of just going back through the years, and these trees we just look at, they've been planted by somebody else, and that type of history of being grounded and the historical nature, but also the opportunity of beauty, walking and exercising, being outside, all of those things make a difference. And also we know that a lot of people visit historic places, and in the evening COVID, so pre-COVID, about 73% of people would visit a historic place over a 12-month period. And there's a stack load of opportunity to volunteer. Volunteering is good for your well-being, so guys, just get volunteering. It's really good for you, and you're giving something back. And there's loads of opportunity in Delapre, in 550 acres there are here. So I think also it's just good for the area. You feel more connected if there's a historical monument in your locality, so people feel better about the area they live in if there is this historical monument, particularly now that it's being looked after and preserved, which I have the privilege of being part of the board of. So it's fantastic. It's fantastic. Let's just leave it at that.
Yeah, it's just great.
It's just good for you. It's just good for you, yeah.
So you know a lot about wellbeing, obviously, being a GP for just a bit. And one of the things that, we work together on is Action for Happiness, which is, this movement around, a social change around wellbeing and sort of proactively looking after your wellbeing. And part of that is around the 10 keys, which I'll let you explain. But one of them, particularly, that we're starting off with is mindfulness. And I think everyone always thinks that mindfulness is sort of sitting, meditating, clearing your mind of everything, which almost seems impossible. But what we know is it's not necessarily that. And we can do mindfulness in lots of different ways, like walking. So I wonder if you can tell us a bit about that.
That's really good, yes. Mindfulness, it isn't actually about emptying your mind at all. So let's just be clear. It's actually about paying attention. And it's about paying attention in the present moment. And so how do we do that? And often, as you and I know, our minds get full of clutter and activity, and so we're just thinking on other loads and stuff. And so the opportunity is just to slow down. So if we just kind of really, one way you can just do it is to really slow down, and you just notice each movement. So you actually notice as you're really just almost lifting your leg and then putting it down intentionally. So you really just really noticing each and every movement. The second thing you can then begin to do is to notice the senses. So you're actually noticing what's around you. We could look and see how many colour greens we can see, which is loads here. But just notice what you can see. Notice maybe the hearing, there's local children playing near us, and the bird song clearly we can hear. It's really loud. Maybe a bit of the wind, and you can then just go into a different sense. We can maybe just, what can we touch? We can pass a leaf and just touch that, or a branch, a tree. We can just touch things. But all the time you're trying to do this intentionally and slowly and notice. And then you can use all of the senses. So that's a way of doing it. And people describe it as 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. 5 things you can see, 4 things you can touch, etc. Down to the 1 you can taste. So it's bring yourself into the moment. Or you can just, and I think this is one of the nicest things, is to stop and almost take a visual picture. What can you see? What can you hear? And just really take it in. And the third way, which I like, is actually to ground yourself. And we're not going to take our shoes off today. But I would normally just really take your shoes off and ground. Imagine yourself like a tree and just those roots and what's beneath you, what you're doing when the grounding is really helpful. I found that really good when I was really anxious. It gets yourself out of your head into your body. And that's what mindfulness is about. It's trying to get yourself out of your head into your body, into the body sensation. So those are a few ways you can do it. You can do breathing as well. Loads you can do. But it is so good to do it outside, isn't it?
Yeah, it really is. And actually when you said sort of tune into the things around you, I realised how loud the birds were.
Yeah.
And I hadn't actually heard them until you said focus on it. You know how it's weird how your brain works. It can just block out so much and what it deems to be unnecessary, but when you turn it onto it, you're like, oh yeah, they're really loud.
That is exactly right. And I think the trouble is what we tend to focus on sometimes, particularly when we get anxious, is we focus on the negative, and we focus on where we don't appreciate what we've got. And so things like a gratitude diary that's where that can be really so helpful. So you're noticing what's going on for you. And I always say, if you're breathing, there's more going for you than there is.
That's nice.
A good place maybe to...
Just quickly then, what kind of benefits can you experience then from, say we did some mindful walking. I mean, as we were walking then, we did slow down and we did sort of just, really sort of tune in. What benefits in the long term can we expect from that?
One of the great things is just slowing down decreases a hormone called cortisol, which is our stress hormone. And cortisol increases our blood pressure, increases our adrenaline, increases our pulse rate. So these things just are calmed down. So basically you are literally calming down these stressful things. And that actually, at the end of the day, you're calmer, you're more focused, you're giving the right things attention rather than being distracted, irritable, and your body being more irritated. So mindfulness has good evidence base in reducing cardiovascular disease, good evidence base in improving mood and focus, and also just well-being and attention. Attention to what's important for us. So mindfulness and good well-being, positive well-being, better relationships, better health.
Yeah.
You're thinking, hey guys, why don't we do this? And this is a really question for me recently that I've been thinking, why don't we do what we know in a way is good for us, like getting out, doing this?
Why don't we?
Good question. You should ask that. I think part of it is habit. I think it is, a bit I'm looking at recently is a really good book called Tiny Habits by somebody, I think it's called somebody Fogg, not Phileas. Anyway, Tiny Habits, and it's having prompts that enable us to ability and motivation. It's those three things and aligning those, but often we don't prompt ourselves. We focus on motivation, saying, come on David, you can do it, when actually that motivation isn't really that helpful. We need a bit of a prompt, like in my diary today it said, I'm going to walk with Laura. And that was a good prompt.
Yeah.
And the ability, I can go walking. That wasn't anything too dramatic today.
So it's about sort of making a conscious effort then to put this into our day-to-day lives, and then sticking to it when it's there. And
often attaching it to something we would do anyway. So actually, if you want to change a habit of, taking a tablet or something, so when I was a doctor, you say to people, we'll put it by your toothbrush, because you hope somebody's already brushing their teeth.
Yeah.
And we do that. So actually just put it by your toothbrush. That's a habit. You can just put it by. So just a reminder, a prompt.
So let's talk about Action for Happiness.
Oh, let's. Yeah.
I mean, what is it? Tell us all about it.
Well, Action for Happiness is actually celebrating its 10th anniversary this year.
Is it? Wow.
So that's really good and really cool. And it's a movement, really, that, well, I won't get to the history. The best thing, guys, if you want to know about where it came from, is go onto the website, which I tell everybody to go to, Action for Happiness website, which is just a resource toolbox of life, really, because it will tell you about the Great Dream, which are the 10 keys, and that's the Great Dream is an acrostic, meaning that the first word of each of the 10 keys spells Great Dream. So giving, relating, exercise, which we're doing now, and relating, awareness, we've just talked about, mindfulness, trying something new, which is just ongoing learning, then direction, resilience, emotion, being grateful, an attitude of gratitude, and acceptance of self is the A, and meaning is the M, being part of something bigger. And again, being part of this great, we're now in the Charter Wood, walking through here in this great woodland, being part of something bigger and noticing stuff here. So an Action for Happiness has got various resources on the website. Good morning. Just saying hello to a couple of guys walking by, but
relating. There we go.
Indeed, a bit of relating there. So actually, I've got loads of stuff on the website, and it has a great app. Indeed, the app today said just slow down, just slow down.
And what are we doing here in Northamptonshire around Action for Happiness then? Because this is a national charitable organisation, but actually we've got quite a hub going on in Northants. Can you tell us a bit about that?
Well, yes, again, I kind of had an interest in this for years, but last 3 to 4 years we've developed a group, which it's great you are part of, and it's been a great asset to the team. There's a team of us just kind of coming together as volunteers, thinking, happiness matters, what can we do about it? And so we're getting together to think what we can do with now getting little pots of money together from public health or other agencies, including now from the national team, who have said that Action for Happiness in Northants has done so well, we are their national exemplar, which is really super exciting. But what are we doing? We're just really getting to develop Happy Cafe network. So that's something obviously you're leading on, and that's really good. And getting different cafes, just talking together, and we can't meet up reality at the moment, so we're meeting virtually and online and just having chats, what helps people be happy, and we celebrate the calendar each month.
Yeah, that's a good one because they've been downloaded over 10 million times now, and each month they have a theme, don't they, that's related to one of the 10 keys, and each day they have a suggestion that they invite you to do that doesn't take very much time, very much resource, that's very accessible for everyone, and the idea is that doing these actions then helps to reinforce that particular 10 key.
Absolutely, this is really good, and it's a little nudges, because what we were saying earlier about prompts, they're a prompt just to notice and have a thought of, okay, a bit on mindfulness, like slowing down today. So just slow down, and they just get little reminders just to help us to keep in tune with what's happening in the calendar. A lot of people, including when I was at work, we used to have the calendars in the workplace, and they're nicely coloured, and then people, they was something to chat about. They're in the cafe, so people turn up and they see this calendar and think, oh, what's that? Or they're on beer mats now. We have some beer mats. Northampton beer mats.
We do. They were actually created originally by one of the volunteers in Northamptonshire, so they are I'm quite proud of that they've gone global, but they started here, which is excellent.
Well, so much has happened, starts in Northamptonshire and then has spread. We need to celebrate that. But yes, it's amazing how many countries, I think over 19 countries now, get this in different languages, and it started as an advent calendar. Somebody just had a thought and do an advent calendar, and there we are. Little idea can spread into a big global
absolutely
activity.
So how does Action for Happiness and the 10 Keys to Happy Living and all the rest of it, how does that link with Delapre?
This is really exciting because Delapre and its beautiful surroundings, we've the Action for Happiness team said actually we needed just a virtual centre. We don't need an office because we all just work independently, but actually have a place we can call home. And so Delapre working together, and we put in a proposal to thriving communities, which we can say we got.
Yay!
So actually this is really good news, and this is a fund linked to social prescribing, and the aim we have here is to develop a green happy cafe. So the Happy Cafe network will expand to Delapre and will be green, that we can do exactly what we're doing now, just walking around enjoying the bird song and beauty, and so exercise. But then we can have encouraging people, as I was saying, with prompts to those classes to enable people to meet up and socialise, have a coffee afterwards, all of this. To want to link people to the ecology as well of Delapre and the green heritage as well.
So that's what makes it a green happy cafe. So just for anyone who doesn't know, obviously a happy cafe is, in the normal world, a place where people can meet and learn about the 10 keys to happier living, and to connect with other people who are looking to improve well-being and happiness through resources and meetups and all sorts of things. And at the moment we're running those digitally with a number of organisations. So Delapre are going to have a green version of that.
It's actually just meeting outside rather than inside. It's using the nature resources. It's maybe actually doing some gardening together. It may be doing some other activities which take part in just in the surroundings. So I think that's the green bit. But also I think the sense of green, the sense of importance of our planet, linking it all together. And I think it's exploring what that's going to mean to people. We don't fully know. I think part of this is to be co-produced, so that we don't just say this is what we're going to do.
And I remember you mentioned, and you have mentioned a couple of times, a statistic which I find interesting about people's well-being and what percentage that is linked to medical intervention,
right,
and what
yes.
percent. So
that's really one thing. So just as I've left general practice, as I've just retired, I was reminded that the NHS actually contributes about 20% to people's well-being.
Right.
Or 20% to health outcomes, let's be clear. It's slightly different language, but health outcomes. Whereas actually behaviour change, in particular exercise, eating, smoking, alcohol, affect about 40%. So actually our actions have much more, and our personal health behaviours have much more impact than the whole of the NHS on our health outcomes. In particular for me in late middle age, if I want to decrease my dementia risk, decrease my cancer risk, being lighter in weight, taking exercise and looking after my stress levels, not smoking, those are the things that are going to make a difference, much more than any medical intervention.
Right, okay.
So if I was going to be on my desert island and you said to me, what one prescription can you give people? I'd say exercise. Yeah. Exercise.
Oh, I don't like exercise, David.
Different ways to exercise.
That's true, and actually, I've been having conversations around what exercise means, and I think the problem that I've always had is that I've seen it as something where you have to be high impact, high intensity. Sort of very competitive, and that is not my vibe.
It's interesting. There's been some research around what's called blue zones, and these are areas in the world where people live a very long time. And what they found was it's incidental exercise. So it's actually you have to walk outside to kind of look after the animals. You have to walk to kind of go and see your friends, and it's these incidental exercises. So actually it doesn't have to be a load of exercise. The other trouble in going to the gym, a lot of people then think, I've been to the gym, I can now eat that cream cake.
And binge.
So actually, people put on the weight after the exercise, so just because they give themselves a bit of a treat.
I've definitely noticed that, during COVID, because obviously I haven't been going places and doing things, actually physically moving as much.
Yep.
I think it must be that incidental exercise that has kept me at, you know, a certain health level, because I've definitely noticed a difference. So that is, that's interesting.
Yes, I think incident, and I think we just need to kind of be, again, it's paying attention. It's, you know, setting, you know, one of the other things in 10 keys, direction, so setting some goals. And it's great. I mean, I set myself a goal to lose weight, which happily I have achieved. And so I can give myself a bit of a pat on the back and think, yep, you know, that goal has been achieved. And you feel better. You feel
Yes.
more confident. But it's also setting small goals.
Right.
So it's not setting, these are big issue of goal setting, that we don't set ourselves too big a goal, that we then end up feeling worse about ourselves because we didn't get it. And the key thing, again, about mindfulness is no judgment. No judgment. Just, okay, that's where we are. You've found out, you've tried something, hasn't quite worked out the way you thought, but actually, that's good learning.
Yeah.
Hey.
Yeah. Again, one of the 10 keys.
Yeah, this is it, you see. They're all in there.
Yeah, it all links back, doesn't it? So you're also doing you're quite a cyclist.
I do like.
You are a keen cyclist. You are a lycra wearing, full-on cyclist, aren't you?
Yeah, I'm a mammal. I'm a definite mammal. I'm there, togged up in my life. I'm not now, guys, but I will be later.
You are legit. You're a legit cyclist. So tell us about some of the challenges that you set yourself then, and how that links into the wellbeing stuff that's happening here.
Yeah, thanks. Well, I think the key thing that I think in the past I've done was a great ride, which is Land's End to John O'Groats. Now that was fantastic.
Oh.
That was over 9 days. That was a bit quick. I wouldn't do it, and I wouldn't recommend camping at the same time, guys. That was putting all of those together was really.
That is not for me. That
was really that was a bit over the top.
Yeah.
But no. What I've done is last year we did a 125-mile circuit from Delapre to Delapre.
You did?
We did, and it was a nice circuit, and we're around Northamptonshire, and it's beautiful. I love Northamptonshire cycling because you get a nice bit of a straight road. You can get some speed up on the flat, but then also you can get one or two hills which can be very, very challenging. Everton Hill has stuck into my mind and my legs. And, yeah, that was difficult, but you can come across some challenges. So we're going to do a 130-mile cycle this year, and I've got the Just Giving page, if I may. So it's Just Giving David-Smart 16.
Okay.
And
we'll put that in the notes as well, so we'll link that to it.
Oh, thanks.
No worries.
That aim is to raise money for Action of Happiness, funny enough. And so that's what we're going for. But yeah, so cycling I love, countryside, and also it's meditative. You know, I find the first few miles you're pushing, getting going, getting yourself warm. But often, you know, particularly a longer cycle, so I normally go about 40, 50 miles.
Just a short cycle. There was me thinking cycling from town down to Delapre was a big deal today. Clearly not. That took me 15 minutes.
Well, but it's a great way to get around town, though, isn't it?
It is, yeah.
And I think I'm also trying to. One of the things linking up with the borough and Delapre, one of the bits in our bid is to develop an active map of Northampton and how we can help people just be aware of the green routes. You know, because there are some beautiful walking routes in Northampton. Used to have more green space than any other town per population.
Wow.
So we are one of the towns blessed with a lot of green space and green parks, but just it's making people aware of them. You know, a colleague found Bradlaugh Fields in lockdown.
I was at Bradlaugh Fields just this weekend gone.
But it's a great area, and yeah, people may not know where it is. And
there are so many, you're right, there are lots and lots of green spaces, and I think there are sort of safe routes to get round to them, walking and cycling. Absolutely. That perhaps, you know, can avoid some of the busy roads, but it's just knowing where they are and how to navigate them, and I think that's going to be really useful to know.
We need to recognise we need to improve road safety.
We do.
But also we need to recognise actually that's going to, if we did have better routes, it would take people off, you know, out of their cars.
Yes, it would.
That would be good for the environment and the well-being. So you have a double whammy there.
Yes.
And that's a real opportunity, you know, for Northampton. Really quite passionate about that and working with others around that agenda and getting a route, because there's a great route from Delapre straight up to Brackwells.
Yeah, I've
Why
heard.
people in town have a little car that goes from town to Brackwells, they could just get, a cycle or scooter or something, or electric bike, just to go, and it'd be cheaper and better.
Oh, I love the scooters. Oh, I love those e-scooters.
I wasn't initially.
Have you been on them?
I haven't, but they look super cool. And
That's so fun.
I must admit, seeing somebody on an electric bike as well, kind of coming up Rushmore Avenue, and he doffed his trilby to me as he went by, and I'm struggling away.
Yeah.
I thought, that did look really cool.
Yeah, they're the e-scooters. I think they're looking to sort of upgrade them so that they have things like indicators to make them a bit safer.
Yeah, good.
But I saw something from Councillor Anna King, who's also on this series.
Yeah.
I saw a tweet from her about how many sort of journeys or how much sort of pollution they had avoided from people using them, and the little robots that we see delivering things, which are adorable and I love.
Yeah, we are becoming quite electronic in Northampton.
We are, aren't we?
And obviously, that's good for the environment, and that's what we're really appreciating. Now look at this blossom.
Oh, it's nice. Gorgeous. Yeah, this is
gorgeous.
It's such a stunning location here, and although I always count this as we're still in town, really.
Yeah. Well, we are. We're literally, a few, from the hospital route. That's a few hundred yards away.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's so nice and so peaceful and calming, and just having a little stroll around. We haven't reached the lake today, but we've been walking through the woodland, which is just as beautiful, and there's lots of people out using it as well, which is really nice to see, even on a day where it's kind of threatening rain.
Pretty chilly.
Yeah,
pretty chilly.
It's not the warmest.
Should have worn gloves. But so I think we're getting a lot of people around us jogging by. I can see some joggers, loads of dog walkers, and it's a great space. There's space to be, and I think,
yes,
particularly post-COVID, I think people are going to be looking for space where they can just be and be safe. And here is a great opportunity for people, and that's what we're looking forward to, just in guiding people in various walks, talks. I'm excited about the opportunity of bat monitors as well.
Oh yeah.
I think, hearing about how the bats can talk to each other and be around. So all of these things are on their way.
That's excellent. So as we walk back towards the Abbey, I guess one final question just to wrap it up.
Sure.
What would you say to people who haven't engaged with Delapre before? How can they get involved, and how can they sort of feel the benefit of this lovely place?
Why not?
Yeah.
If you haven't discovered it, I just put it in the diary. That little bit of a prompt. Just come along, have a look. Lovely coffee, the cafe, but lovely just company. Just come and wander. You and I today have just wandered around.
Yeah.
We are going to get better signage.
Yeah.
For routes, so people can know if they want to do a 3 kilometre, 5 kilometre,
Yeah.
10 or 20 or whatever. There are routes around, how it can link up with other areas, the wetlands and other areas. All of this is going to be available, but volunteer. We know that Delapre, part of it works on volunteering, and that's a great way to engage with Delapre and just be part of the ongoing heritage that is here. And it's good for your well-being, and keep an eye out for the emerging green cafe and the courses, resources, meetups, and you and I, Laura, will be on a meetup. Coming from.
We will. We'll be here inviting people to come and join and connect and learn about the 10 keys to happier living, and generally go away feeling lifted and empowered and just lovely. So yes,
that little bit better, and that's what we want. And I think the great thing that the pledge your action for happiness is just the pledge to improve more happiness in yourself and less unhappiness in yourself and the world around you. So it's connecting. It isn't just a personal thing. You're just trying to look after yourself, but you're trying to look after people around you. The best way to cheer yourself up, cheer someone else up. So it's been a great fun chatting with you, and and walking and talking.
It's a pleasure, David. Yeah, it's a pleasure. Thank you so much. And we'll link in the notes or everything that you've mentioned so that people can access some of those resources. So thanks ever so much, David.
Yeah, look forward to chatting again soon.
Oh, that was such a delight to speak to David Smart. Thanks so much for taking part in this episode. He really is a powerhouse of positivity. If you're interested to learn more about Action for Happiness, then you can head to Twitter, Instagram and Facebook and search for A for H Northants, and that's the number 4. And if you want to see more about what Action for Happiness do, then go to actionforhappiness.org. There are loads of free resources available. There's a course, there's an app, there's the calendars to download, all sorts of stuff. So head over to the website and check it out. And if you enjoyed this episode, please like and share, and look out for other episodes in this series. Thanks for listening.